Makoto Niwa's life has been ruined because his parents went abroad, so he has to live at his aunt's house in a new city. This could be the highlight of his summer life because he'll finally meet girls. He leaves his train and meets his aunt. She gives him her business card and introduces herself as Tawa Meme. Niwa finds the name strange and wonders if it's a fake name, but she clarifies that it's her real name and suggests he calls her Jojo instead. Niwa looks around and thinks everything looks different from his hometown. Jojo looks back and welcomes him to the city watched over by aliens. She says that they get a lot of UFO sightings around here, so it's basically Florida. Niwa wonders if she's an alien fanatic or maybe a conspiracy theorist. They arrive and Jojo welcomes him to his second home. Niwa walks inside and sees a person wrapped in a futon. Jojo doesn't explain why there's a human sushi on the ground, which is luckily alive. Niwa questions his aunt, but says that he's more than happy to live with her. Later, the two have dinner, but the futon is there as well. He asks Jojo if he's supposed not to see it and says that there's a distracting object on his right. Jojo says that ghosts are usually on your left. Niwa confronts her and says she lied to him. Meme tries to start a new conversation and Niwa says she doesn't live alone. Niwa gets angry and Jojo asks if he has any proof. He pokes the futon and says her proof is here. He keeps poking the futon, but Jojo tries to switch the conversation. He finally has enough, but the futon begins hitting him. The futon begins to mumble nonsense and Jojo translates it as nice to meet you. She says that this is her daughter. Niwa asks her to elaborate, but she calls him a virgin. The boy asks her what happened to living alone. The futon girl keeps hitting him and he grabs her foot and shoots her back as hard as he shoots his cream. Jojo says that the two of them will have a blast living together. Niwa asks what will happen to the croissant-shaped thing. She says that he shouldn't mind her. The futon girl keeps mumbling and kicks a chair onto the table. Jojo grabs her legs, spins her around, and shoots her into the wall. The following day, Niwa wakes up and heads to school. In class, he looks around and scans the room for cute girls. After school, he gets home and sees the fish roll. He introduces himself and says that they're now cousins. Sushi Girl says that the Earth is being targeted. Not knowing how to respond, Niwa agrees. He asks her if she's really Jojo's daughter. Sushi recites the dictionary definition of cousin and says that Niwa has the face of a water bear. He asks her what she's doing here and the girl says she's awaiting a transmission from the universe. Niwa asks if she's insane, but she says that transmission will end in 2 minutes and 7 seconds. The doorbell rings and there's a pizza delivery. Niwa pays for the pizza and gives it to Universe Girl. She says that the universe is the closest thing mankind has to salvation. She goes back to her room and returns the money. Denpa Girl seems to understand the concept of money. He wonders how she will eat the pizza, but she splits it in two, throws it into the air, and eats it. Niwa asks what she's going to do with the other half and she says that she wouldn't mind sharing. Niwa splits the cost and eats the pizza. Somebody calls and Niwa picks up. It's Jojo. She says she can't come home yet and therefore tells him he can just eat whatever he wants. Jojo advises him to pretend he never noticed the girl and hangs up. Niwa places the girl on his bike and takes her out for dinner. He's afraid of policemen because they'll surely take them into custody for suspicion of kidnapping. He wonders why none of his relatives know about her. The two arrive, but the futon girl struggles to leave his basket. Niwa picks her up, but her futon comes loose. To his surprise, a beautiful moon girl appears. She's so beautiful that he thinks that she's an alien or princess. The girl says she's an alien. She falls off the bike on top of Niwa. The girl says that she's an alien peacekeeper. She says that her missions are to observe the people of this city and to destroy evidence of alien contact on Earth. Niwa thinks that since she's very attractive, corrective measures must have been taken by God against her behavior. Tawa Irio says that the world exists within a cube which is observed by superior entities. She says that they toyed with humans as they sent them to a parallel universe. For real, says Niwa as he unpacks his food. Irio tells him that aliens fabricated a world after death for human souls to see how mankind would react to the idea of an afterlife. She asks Niwa why he's here and he says his parents moved away. She asks what kind of alien contact he had in his previous town and he says none. Niwa explains that the Earth is big, so not all aliens visit Japan. He asks Irio why she continues acting like she's an alien and she says that she simply is. Niwa tells her she still has bits of pizza stuck on her face and cleans it off. Irio reassures him she won't alter her perception of him over such bribery. He asks her what she does during the day. Irio tells him she spends her time destroying evidence of Earth's contact with alien life forms. The next day, he finishes school. The boy walks to his bike, but a girl chants "Hey transfer student." Niwa says that she makes it sound like she's ordering him in a weird dialect. The girl introduces herself as Mifune Ryuko. She asks him where he lives and he shows her his map. She grabs it with her mouth and gives it back. Niwa notices that the paper is wet and thinks it could be her lip balm or maybe her saliva. He puts it in his pocket. Since they both have to go to the same cross section, Ryuko asks if he wants to join her. Niwa says yeah. She puts on her helmet and says that it's a magical item that prevents your scalp and hair from getting ripped off. She asks him if he's going to leave his head naked. But Niwa says that naked isn't usually used to describe a person's head. Ryuko says that cars are super fast and bicycles too. Niwa says that he rides slowly, but the girl tells him she's insanely fast and might leave him behind. The two start racing their bikes as fast as they can. They reach a traffic light and Ryuko says they wasted a lot of energy for nothing. She says she likes these youthful moments and that they'll surely be a great memory one day. The two go their separate ways and Niwa arrives home. He sees Irio and her futon. The following day at school he meets a girl. She says that she is just naturally tall and isn't repeating the year. Niwa thinks she's a giant oarfish because afar she looks beautiful, but up close reality kicks in. He says her eyebrows are humongous. Ryuko appears behind him and asks to have lunch with him. Niwa asks if she's a vegetarian, but she says that she's a fruitarian because she wants to be a tropical girl with fruit juice running through her veins. A girl gives her the club's notes and mispronounces her name. She tells her to apologize and to say her name correctly. She calls her Ruashi and leaves. Ryuko says that there was a girl who called her that last year. She corrected her, but she said that Ruashi is nicer and more cosmic. Since then everyone started calling her that. Ryuko says that the girl dropped out of school though. People say that it was voluntary, but she's sure it's complicated. She goes to her club meeting and says she'll see him tomorrow. Judging from her personality, Niwa thinks she's either in the drama club or the basketball team. Niwa goes outside and sees what appears to be a giant swordfish hung by a crane. She asks him if he's planning on joining a club and he says no. The girl says that all the clubs tried to recruit her last year, but everyone rejected her the following week. Niwa asks her why and the girl says that when she holds her arms in the air for more than 10 seconds she gets really lightheaded. This is why the basketball team, volleyball team, and the drama club gave up on her despite her height advantage. She asks him what they call people like her and Niwa says weakening. The weakening says she also got fired from a bookstore for being useless. Niwa thinks she's just lazy. Niwa is excited about going home with a girl 2 days in a row, and with different girls too. Niwa gets home and sees Sushi Girl laying on the ground. He goes to the kitchen and sees a half-eaten pizza. This means that the inside of her futon must look like a food processor. Niwa begins cleaning her face and she quickly wraps up. At night he puts her on his bike and leaves. Since Irio knows the route and Niwa doesn't have his phone with him, he relies on her navigation skills. He wonders where she's taking him, but he arrives at the sea. Niwa can hear his steps on the gravel. He races through the gravel but looks back and sees Irio trying to hug the ground. He runs after her and calls her stupid. Niwa saves her from drowning. He explains to her that it's dangerous to play around in a place like this. Irio says that even she doesn't know everything. The boy asks her how she usually gets here and Irio says she flies. The two start making their way back but encounter Niwa's classmate. She calls herself the Sandwich Woman. Niwa thinks it sounds like a name from a crappy superhero show. She notices Irio and recognizes her. Niwa asks if she knows her and the girl says that she went missing for about half a year. She says she claimed to have been abducted by aliens after creeping everyone out. She dropped out of school. She asks them why they're out here together. Niwa says they're cousins. Sandwich Girl bursts out in laughter and asks if he lives under the same roof as her. Niwa says yes and she says she just made that up and calls him a piece of work. She tells him to wait till their classmates get wind of this, because that will surely throw the class into utter chaos. She says it's a joke and that she won't tell anyone yet. Niwa asks her why she's here and she says she went for a stroll around the neighborhood. She likes watching the night sky, especially the clouds. Niwa questions her outfit but she just happened to feel like it tonight. The two finally get home. Jojo is eating Irio's pizza in the kitchen. Niwa says that they just got home and she's surprised that Irio was with him. Niwa asks her about Irio going missing last year. Jojo says that from her perspective, she inexplicably disappeared. She says it didn't appear to be crime-related at the time though. Irio was found floating in the November Sea. The police attempted to trace her memory and footsteps, but they came up empty-handed. Irio doesn't remember anything from those 6 months, so she has amnesia. Niwa asks if that's the reason why she got interested in space stuff. Jojo says Irio jumped a bicycle into the river from a bridge while trying to prove her story, but failed. She landed in the river, broke her leg and got hospitalized. Since then she's started wrapping a futon around herself. Comment Alien Moon Girl for part 2 of this anime. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you next time.